Hello. So for years I have wanted to have a starfish of some form in my tank. The problem is that generally you either get the varieties, the corals, which a lot of them do, or you end up with the ones that are super finicky that if your tank parameters are just slightly off, that they die. So I was kind of hesitant, but I've reached the point where my tank's been running for over 5 years, so it's a well-established aquarium. And I saw this red Fromia starfish at my local fish store, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot and just see how it does. Now, one of the things that's cool about these guys is that, generally speaking, these varieties, they don't get much more than about 6 inches in size, which is good sized, but I didn't want to have one of those that gets like over a foot or whatever, one of those big monsters in my tank. That, and of course, most of those varieties end up eating coral. So this is considered to be one of the reef-safe varieties. They don't bother coral, really. As far as what they eat, there's a lot of speculation because nobody knows for 100% sure. But it's believed detritus and film algae, basically, and other forms of microalgae is generally what these guys feed on. So you definitely do not want to stick one of these things in a young tank, for sure, if you're going to attempt one at all. So anyway, but yeah, I just decided that, I saw it and I said, you know what, I really do want to give one of these guys a shot and just see how it does, and to see whether or not, I can keep a starfish in my tank. Now, I have a couple of other things in here. I have a couple of tuxedo urchins. And then hermit crabs and snails. But I figured, I also wanted to, at some point, try a starfish in my tank. And so this would be the first one that I have. Now, I do have, the Asterina, pest varieties in my tank. They don't really bother much, though, since I don't keep the type of corals that they usually bother. And I have also found some brittle starfish that I do get in my tank, the little micro brittle starfish. And they've all done well, but of course, given the fact that they're pest variety, they're a lot less sensitive than these guys are. So I'm not 100% sure, but as anything else in this hobby, there are no guarantees. There's just probabilities and odds of success. And so I'm going to keep a close eye on this guy and do, everything I can to make sure I've got the right environment for him. They do tend to be, this variety, from what I've seen, does tend to be a little more sensitive to, things like salinity swings and that sort of stuff. So you do want to make sure you watch things like that with these guys. But they're just gorgeous. And they have these really interesting, if you take a look over here, it might be a little bit hard to see from the angle. I'll see if I can get, there we go. A little bit better. They have the little feet on the bottom that you can see there. Those are kind of the little hairy things that are coming off the starfish. Those are their feet, and that's what they do. They keep attached to the glass and other surfaces. There you go. That's a better shot of it right there. So anyways, yeah, you can see all those little things coming off of the starfish right there. And those are just kind of the little suction cups and stuff that they come out and that they can go ahead and feel things with as they move around. So thus far, this guy's been content to just kind of hang out at the top of my tank, kind of almost like doing a half in, half out sort of thing. But I've only added him in the last couple of hours, so this is probably his self-acclimation method, even though I did do a little bit of acclimation technique with this guy. But anyway, picked him up from my local fish store, so thankfully we keep very similar water parameters for salinity, temperature, and everything else. So anyways, hopefully he'll adapt well to the tank, and I'll periodically do updates with this guy. But either way, really happy to have, a good-sized starfish in my tank. And just excited to kind of learn a little bit more about their behavior and the things that they do as they move around. And that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.